What is it?
My applesauce.
The brake's still performing well. This is like the perfect road for this car.
Yeah. It likes this. It likes little snakes.
I mean, we are bombing. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to Northern Colorado, where I am driving the new Kia EV6 GT. Now, it's important that you realize that this is the full Mac Daddy GT, not just the GT line. So not only does it look good, it's also got over 570 horsepower here. I want to talk a little bit about the intricacies to the horsepower, the changes to the GT compared to the normal EV6, and then we're going to shred it up one of my favorite back roads. This has been probably the most anticipated electric vehicle for me to test in recent memory. The reason is I'm a driving enthusiast, a performance car enthusiast, and I also love electric. There's not many of us out there, but I know some of you guys will be watching this video. And what I really want to find out is if this is truly a performance electric vehicle. Now, Model 3 performance has always been the best bang for the buck in terms of having track performance, a wonderful aftermarket to really support that car, and actually really being insanely fast for the money. I'm really curious to see how this stacks up. So let me walk you through the spec. I'll walk you through all the changes to the GT. Then we'll jump inside and do some actual full send-descend driving and see if this thing can handle the abuse. This is the Kia EV6 GT, this particular one, coming in at $62,865, finished here in red. We will be doing range tests, charging tests, all the other stuff with this vehicle. One of my concerns with EV6 GT, just to get it right off the bat, is the efficiency of this vehicle. Just driving it around town, these 21-inch wheels right here certainly aren't, come on over, you can take a look at them. These 21-inch wheels certainly aren't doing the car any favors. It also has some upsized motors when compared to the normal EV6, so I'm really curious to see how it does in a range test. On a full charge just now, and I have really not been driving it that hard, it was showing about 190 miles in its normal driving profile, which is, it's a predictive range estimate, but that just isn't that great, is it? So 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, same that's in the normal EV6 and Ioniq 5 and GV60, but here it can now output 576 horsepower. What's that, 430, 440 kilowatts, something like that? Insane. 2 permanent magnet motors, but it still retains the front clutch disconnect on the front axle. So for normal cruising, when you're not in iPedal or when you're on adaptive cruise control in either eco or normal mode, the front axle will be disconnected. The GT also gives you extra drive modes that the normal one doesn't come with. You lose the snow drive mode, but you gain the GT drive mode, which changes suspension, brakes, ESP, electronic limited slip rear diff, and some other calibrations as well. So that's cool, and it gives you full power. It seems it's definitely got some different powertrain characteristics. And there's also a My Drive mode that I have no idea how to configure. I've tried, looked everywhere, can't figure it out. Doesn't matter, I drive it in GT mode. The changes to this car are significant over the standard EV6. I mean, you get adaptive suspension, bigger brakes, so we got 4-piston front brakes, with you know, an upgraded brake booster from the standard car, which is pretty interesting. I meant to tell you about the drift mode as well. I've been reading a lot of things where people say the drift mode disconnects the front axle and it goes rear wheel drive. My understanding is that that doesn't happen. It's a little bit like Tesla's drift mode, where it distributes the power around to get it sideways and kind of pull you out of a drift if needed. But like, I've seen some videos of these things just doing tire smoking huge drifts. There's a great video on YouTube of an EV6 shredding around the Nürburgring, and it actually looks pretty hardcore. This is technically an SUV somehow. It's really a hatchback, if we're honest. But if I tell you that, no one will buy it. You know, it's a hatchback. It's a hot hatch that you can buy today, and it's pretty cool. It is long, though. So I'll give you the highlights of this car. EPA range, can't remember, low 200-mile range. The range seems to be the problem here. There's not a big enough battery in this car. 77 kilowatt hours when you're outputting over 500 horsepower, really driving it hard, you don't get that much longevity. I'm really curious to see how it does in the range test. Maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe. Let's hope. The charging is the best part of this car. 240 kilowatt peak charging speeds on DC. It now supports battery preconditioning, so you just select the charger in the in-car nav and it will precondition on the way. It targets about a 21 degrees Celsius coldest battery pack temperature on the way to a DC fast charger. It has a 48 amp onboard charger, supports vehicle to load, so you can do power in and out with an adapter, which is great. So just love all the functionality there. Wish it had 240 volt power out, but it doesn't, because technically this is somewhat of a review, but we're really just talking about the performance. I'll just show you the trunk. It has one. We'll put this Velcro down so it stops sliding around. Tire mobility kit, no spare tire in this particular one. The GT comes, speaking of what's under here, there's a subwoofer under here. And actually, let me reopen this up because the GT gives you a little bit of chassis changes as well. So starting in the rear, you get back here a chassis brace, which if I pull this back, take a look in here, you'll see this right here. Well, let me just do it this way. You get a chassis brace, which they say really actually alters the handling. I believe it. It's very stiff in the rear. There's also a Meridian subwoofer. This has an upgraded sound system than the standard car. I don't know if you can get the Meridian in the GT line. I've actually only ever driven the Wind trim. And yeah, Meridian sound system in this actually pretty good. You know, it's not top level sound system, but for a mid-grade sound system, you'll be very pleased. Good bass response. You really got to crank the volume out of it like most Hyundai, Kia, Genesis stuff, but it's pretty good. Suspension. The whole front chassis has been adapted, the front subframe, from a McPherson strut to a 5-link McPherson setup. So it's now a multi-link front suspension with an adaptive damper on the front and rear. So you actually have ride adjustment controls. And they've really just gone kind of full crazy with this thing. And I think that's awesome. I love how hardcore they went with this. It's got the tiniest front trunk in the world. I'm not even going to show you that. So if I just walk you front to back, the changes here. EV6 GT, the styling, awesome. The suspension, pretty hardcore, and we'll see that out on the road. It rides pretty firm for daily driving. You get bigger brakes with a 20% higher friction component of the factory brake pad, which you can, of course, upgrade later on. I hope we see a strong aftermarket for these cars. You have the 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack configured a little bit differently. I think they actually changed the bus bars, the wiring, some other things inside the battery pack to handle even more power output. Speaking of the battery, and we'll talk about it in the drive a little bit more, it's very sensitive to temperature and state of charge to get power output. To really eke everything out of this car, you have to be, you know, a nerd to know how to get it in the right state. But when you get it right, it seems pretty good. You get an electronic limited slip diff in the rear, which I originally thought this car had a torque vectoring rear diff, but I don't believe it does. I think the Ioniq 5N will have it. According to everything I can find official from Kia, this just has a limited slip diff. And I've been watching the power graph driving the car around. I've been trying to feel if I could feel an oversteering, you know, the car doing torque vectoring, and I'm not feeling it. I'm pretty sure it's just a limited slip differential in the back, which is cool with me. I love that. That's fine. But I think the Ioniq 5N, this car's sister car, which will be launching soon, and I believe there'll be an Ioniq 6N as well, will have a torque vectoring rear diff. Don't quote me, that's just what I remember hearing. Has the upgraded brake booster, and then the seats. I haven't shown you inside. Inside, this is a truly special and improved experience. Manual bucket seats. You can sit on the ground. You get these absolutely beautiful seats. They fit me perfectly, but I think if you weighed even 5 pounds more than me, you wouldn't really fit in there. My friend Zach sat in this car and he was like, nope, he drives an Ioniq 5. He's like, not working for me. And that's on YouTube, actually. That's on my personal channel. I made a video with this. So the things that confuse me about this car, they already went to the crazy lengths of making it high output version, really super drifty. All the press photos are of this thing just lighting up the rear tire on track, sliding around. We actually won't have that much room on this road to do that stuff. And unfortunately, I'm on a tight schedule with this car, but I may ask for it back to take it to a track day. I'd love to do some laps at High Plains with this thing, really get the speed on. And so this confuses me a little bit. It's got a very drifty, oversteery character to it. It's on a square setup, 245 section tires, front and rear, not actually that wide. They're the Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric 3s, which is a high performance summer tire, but not like super crazy. I believe in other markets, they actually ship on Pilot Sport 4Ss. So they have 2 approved tires. I would like to drive it on the Pilot Sport 4S. I don't know. I do like these tires though. It's been cold and they are terrible in the cold. They have no grip whatsoever. So I've just been full sideways everywhere. So they give it this very drifty character in certain situations, and then they go and add a sunroof to it, which is like, I thought we were going full race car mode here, and they put all this weight up here. I don't know. To me, it actually kind of fits what I want in a car, which is like all the luxury stuff, all the performance stuff, big sound system, put it in one. But I wish they had like a spec racer version, which was like slick top, slam to the ground, maybe a bigger battery pack, and full power output. The one last thought I want to leave you with before we jump in the car and drive, and we'll talk about it as well, is actually trying to drive this car fast around town is a little bit awkward because it has such a powerful front motor. It seems to kind of max out the rear motor almost first, and then you start spinning front tires. If you guys remember, we drove the GV60 Performance, this car's sister car, which has the small rear motor and I believe the same front motor as this car. My mom actually drives one. It's got the boost mode and all the other stuff. That car just roasts front tires everywhere. You come out of a corner, you stab the throttle, the rear is just along for the ride, and you're just, whoa, big cloud of smoke. This is actually the same way. You kind of actually need to get a little bit of momentum on the car, use the weight to get the back moving, then go about half throttle. And at half throttle, then you can do big skids. But if you go past half throttle, the front axle just gets too much and it just washes you out and roasts the front tires. So it's actually kind of a tricky car to get right. And then we get onto the topic of the battery temperatures and state of charge. So let's jump in the car and I'll explain how to get the most out of this, how I've set it up for this test so we are going to get the most out of it, and kind of how disappointing it really can be if you live with it on a daily basis. This is one of those cars that if you're going to a track session, if you're going to a back road, you need to spend hours prepping this car to get it into the right temperature and state of charge range to fully enjoy it, which is what I've been doing all afternoon in preparation for this video. So let's jump inside and let's take it for a drive. Welcome to the inside of the EV6 GT. Hey, Alyssa.
Hello.
Welcome back to the channel.
Oh, I wasn't gone.
No, everyone missed you though.
Missed you guys too.
So yeah, social media break.
Social media break, yep, 100%.
So, but you like performance driving,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why you're here to come for the ride along.
100%.
And you've been in a lot of fast cars on this road, so you kind of
Yes.
know what to look for and what to feel for.
100%.
So looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Before we get going, I want to talk about how we've set up the car today.
Okay.
And the first thing I've done is I've gone over here to Car Scanner, and I have my battery temperature and my logs hooked up here. So I'm using a VPeak OBD2 adapter and the Car Scanner ELM OBD2 app. Everyone asks what I use. So
You'll put that in the description, right?
no, because that's too much effort.
Maybe it's in our Amazon
So
store?
one of our viewers will put it in.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so technically the battery's at 89% state of charge, but it's indicating, I actually don't know. Its state of charge displayed is 89, but the actual battery pack is at 87, so there are some buffers. So we have 65 kilowatt hours left in here to play around with. We are at 777.3 volts on the battery pack. Of course, as I accelerate, that will dip. As we regen, that'll come up, and it'll drop as we lose state of charge. But the reason I have this open, the big reason, is for the battery temperature ranges. Now you can see our coldest battery cell is 22 degrees Celsius and our warmest is 27. And that's a great temperature range to sort of start at the driving situation, because it's about as cold as it can be where you can still get pretty much full power output, almost.
Okay.
And there's actually a little display on the screen right here that shows how warm you are. And I'm sure as we drive and warm up the battery, this will actually open up. And there's a way to activate maximum power output mode.
By pressing that button.
The problem is when you press that button, it's going to run the battery heater and heat up the system so you get better drag racing accelerations. It's a bit like drag strip mode in Model S.
Okay.
But you're going to lose your thermal longevity before overheat. So
Right.
we're actually going to keep that off.
So it's just a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword, but it's one of those things with electric cars that they need to be hot to give you full power, but if they're hot, then you can't drive them that long because then they'll overheat.
Right.
So you kind of want it to start right about where we are, right in that mid to low 20 degrees Celsius range. Now there's a pretty big discrepancy on the battery pack, but that's okay. So we'll still get almost full power right now at 90% state of charge with these temperatures, but it'll allow us hopefully to not overheat by the time we get to the top of the road. We'll find out.
Okay.
Here's what happens if you don't control the battery pack temperature. if it's cold and you leave it outside overnight and you floor it, you get like half power.
Right.
If the battery pack's, around freezing outside,
but
or a
that's just
little
about
more.
every car, or EV at least.
Yeah, but it just seems a lot more sensitive in this than even a Model 3. And what's really crazy is I think they're really overstressing this battery pack. It's got a small battery. And at below 70-60% state of charge, it kind of falls on its face. And especially when it gets to 40 or 30% state of charge, it feels like a normal EV6. So the GT Extra Performance you only get if you're at high state of charge, which isn't great for the battery anyway. Like if I had one, I'd charge it to, 50, 60, 70% every day, maybe 80. And then, I'd be giving up performance that way.
So you might as well, for everyday driving, not have the GT Performance.
Yeah, the GT isn't good for daily driving, but it is for the nerds, I think. Kind of a cool car to at least know that you can get everything out of it if you're ready. So you guys get the idea. If it's dead and cold, it barely moves. If it's warm and hot, it rips. But that's a little bit harder on the battery pack. I'm going to put the car into drive right now. Actually, before we do that, let me put it into park, and I'm going to show you how to activate drift mode. So to activate drift mode, which is like full send skids, we did drift mode in the GV60. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And it sucked.
Yeah, it did.
This is actual drift mode.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll find a spot to do it at the top of the hill, because right now there's people around and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it's actually pretty busy.
Yeah, so don't want to do it in front of everyone. But to do it, you go into GT mode. So we're there right now. We push and hold to turn traction control all the way off, where traction and stability control disabled. I push the brake to the floor, and then I pull both paddles for 3 seconds. And there we go, drift mode activated. And then big skids.
Big skids.
There's a couple other drive modes. Eco, Normal, Sport. Those are typical from the normal ones. I've actually been driving the car most of the time in normal mode. It backs off on the suspension. It's very comfortable. I like the way that it drives there. It's livable. It's not too harsh. And then if I go into GT mode, it backs off the traction and stability control slightly.
Okay.
It locks up the rear diff a little bit more, and it unlocks full power. So at least for the drive today, we're going to drive in GT mode. Maybe we'll turn traction control fully off, but I'm going to leave it half on just to get a feel for it, because the road's a little salty and dusty.
Right.
On the way over, let's talk about a previous video that I shot. It was actually yesterday, which was the Mustang Mach-E GT on this road. And I'll tell you a little bit about what I've experienced. And I've also driven Model Y Performance on this road, not since they got the track mode update, but there's a lot of like hot electric SUVs on the market right now. I really wish Volkswagen would make an ID4R. I think it'd be awesome, because I love the seating position in that car. But speaking of seating position, this seating position, pretty not bad, and the seats are great, and I love that they're manual.
And for you to say that's huge.
Yeah, I actually kind of like fit good in this car.
Yeah.
It's not like the best road tripping seat, but it really holds you in.
No, I mean, you don't really have a good headrest, and that's something that I've kind of experienced whenever you floor it. I'm like, wait, I have to actually use my neck muscles.
But you have room if you have a helmet on.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of what it's for.
But in realistic, how many people who are buying this car are going to be on a track with it?
I hope a lot.
I hope so too, but we haven't even seen Model 3 performances out there, or, I mean, any.
There's a dude with a Polestar that tracks his car.
Yeah,
Drew's always out there with his Model 3 Performance. And we're in some Model 3 Performance track groups. So we know that the electric performance thing is coming up.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I mean, I don't know. In my brain, I don't see this as a performance car.
Really?
It just hasn't hit to me. I mean,
You don't see it as a performance car?
I mean, I don't know. Like the Model
look,
3 does it. What's
Volvo
that?
V60 Polestar in blue. Yes, very nice.
It's a wagon.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. It's just the maybe it's the bulbous look of it that kind of throws me off. It just doesn't look sporty to me. And then the things that they've done to make it look sporty, I don't know. I haven't truly experienced it though. So this is kind of my first time.
Same here, actually. I haven't driven it hard yet. So this is the first time I've had it at high state of charge for the last 2 weeks of driving this car.
I pulled over and let
Why?
that go for a bit.
Oh, we'll do it up here because I'm going to do an acceleration. And we'll do some acceleration and braking tests. I want to try out the bigger brake booster, see how that feels, and some other stuff. So just one last point about the Mustang Mach-E. That car sucked on this road.
It always has.
But it's a the chassis,
Power
it's
limited.
okay. It just, the thing is, unlike what Kia claims they did with this, was upsize the supporting components of the battery to handle the GT stuff.
Right.
The Mustang is like sized for a rear-wheel drive base economy version, and then they give it all this power, but they only let you have it for a tiny bit, otherwise you'll melt the wires, melt the bus bars, melt the contactors. It seems like this can have sustained performance.
Okay.
Which I'm really, really looking forward to trying.
What's the price difference between the two?
They're pretty much identical.
Okay.
But they have... It's really hard to actually compare them back to back because that has almost 20 more kilowatt hours worth of battery storage than this. Yeah. And then the Model Y has a much bigger battery than this as well.
They're all completely different in so many different ways.
And they all drive a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think the cross shop would be Model Y Performance or this.
Right.
And this feels faster than a Model Y Performance, actually. So let's do a full launch. I'm going to come to a stop. We're in GT mode. So ready for it?
Feet are planted.
All right, 3, 2, 1, floor it. A little bit of wheel spin. Man, this thing freaking rips. And look, sustained ripping. Top speed is 160 miles an hour. Okay. It just pulls and pulls. That was awesome.
Yeah, it has a very comfortable pull as well.
They've also upped the regen in GT mode, so they allow for even more, which is good. Oh my gosh, this thing, what is flying around? I thought we covered everything.
It's a scraper.
Oh, an ice scraper?
Yeah.
Let's put that somewhere else.
I think it should be good.
Okay.
I stuffed it. We'll see.
So, acceleration, wow.
It's great. It's great, it's comfortable, and it's smooth, which is something that you just don't find with many cars these days.
You mean combustion cars?
Any cars.
Really?
I don't know. If you punch the ID4, you definitely don't get...
Yo, it's not going to be that strong.
And maybe then goes. But
I mean, this just spins the tires when you go.
Right.
Yeah, really, really good performance here. Let's do some braking tests since we're stuck behind some people. So ready? I'm going to come up to about 60 miles an hour. We'll go to 0. And full brakes.
My applesauce.
What is it?
My applesauce.
So really good brake pedal feel for a brake-by-wire system.
Okay.
In the fact that I can kind of feel ABS working in the background, but it's not a full mechanically connected system.
Correct.
But it definitely has a different character than the standard EV6, where like the brake pedal gives me more room to modulate, and it's definitely a little bit more accurate braking pressure than the standard EV6. So nice upgrades there. The noise this thing makes when accelerating, though, is incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
Now, you can configure a whole bunch of stupid noises in this car to do all that stuff. We're not going to do that because I don't like it. But listen to this high-pitch sort of inverter whine, if you will. It sounds really cool. Mm-hmm. And if you were to remove some of the sound shrouding around these motors and inverters and like maybe take the rear seat out of it, it would probably sound full race car.
Oh, yeah.
So the bones here are good. The suspension definitely pitches and dives under acceleration and braking. We need to get this traffic out of our way, and no one seems to be pulling over, which is just ridiculous. So we will wait here. We're going to let traffic clear, and then we will see how this thing drives on the twisty bits. This car, by the way, only has 1,000 miles on it. We just hit 1,000 miles today, so it's fresh. And I believe it came on the launch program, so they put fresh tires and fresh brakes after their like media launch thing.
And they put Summers?
Yeah, it's got summer tires.
Okay.
Yeah, ready? Well, which is good because I actually want to evaluate it on summers, and it's warm enough-ish. Yeah, it's 50 degrees out. Just spins the tires.
Ooh.
Really nice that the rear, the more as you progressively lean on that back axle, you can really get the rear of the car to start working for you. And the acceleration, I mean, this is actually fast. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually fun.
It's really fun. And again, we have traction control sort of half on, and it's letting us get these little angles coming out of corners. And I'm planted, and it's still giving us hard power. Look at this thing. It feels really neutral, really good. Brakes, awesome. I'm utilizing, can you throw that back on the charger if you don't mind, because the phone's dying. It's got a wireless charger there. I hate wireless charging.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah. The car really is using all 4 tires to its maximum advantage. I can feel how stiff the back end is, where I can sort of lean the car right on that rear tire. And as I give it more throttle, I'm just kind of pulling it out on that. Now it is dusty, so we're going to be super careful. A little bit of a four-wheel slide on the exit there. Look at the speeds you can carry in this thing, though. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
It's fast.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh, we've already caught up to these people.
Maybe they'll get the hint after that. Doubt it. They're probably gonna be like, "Oh, this guy can't have fun."
This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's all because it's heavy. You're just managing where the weight is on the tire, so you can just like throw it on that back outside tire, nail the throttle, and just lean on it to get out of a corner.
It definitely feels like it's meant to do these things.
Yeah, it feels built for this.
Yeah.
That was freaking awesome.
Yeah, which that's a huge compliment.
I'm gonna go full traction control off.
Oh, here we go.
Because I can still feel it getting in our way a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little pull off up here. I guess we'll wait even longer this time. I don't know how these people don't get out of the way.
Maybe they'll pull off.
I don't.
Usually people are pretty good at this. But
Everyone pulls off, but I've never seen someone go this slow before.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. But holy smokes, that was my first time driving this car hard.
Mm-hmm.
And just thrilled.
Yeah, that was really fun.
If Ioniq 5N is anything like this, I think I gotta buy one. Yeah.
That does say a lot.
Yeah, I think maybe replace the Plaid with that.
What is the N is has a little bit more range or what? No.
Probably less range than this.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'd keep the Plaid. I do like having it as a long distance car. I don't know. But I really want to own an EGMP platform. I think they do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone going to pull over for us?
Nope.
No? What the heck? Crazy. So we'll just wait here and let them go ahead. Put it in park so we don't warp the rotors. Parking, brake, engage. They probably will be. They're fresh, so.
No stink.
A little bit? No? Yeah. I mean, it's got pretty good sized brakes. The power is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
That's fun.
This is serious. All right, let's wait a little bit and then we'll rock and roll. There's a car coming, so we're just going to quickly run out in front of them. And very dusty, very dusty. Full skids on the exit. This is great. Wow, the way that this thing absolutely performs is good. Now that is a little bit too much front motor for my liking at that throttle pedal. I would almost prefer that they max out the rear motor before they pull in the front. Mm-hmm. But it's close enough where it's like, okay, you got to forgive some of these things because that tire could have been on a patch of salt from the roads and the rest couldn't. It's hard to know on this type of loose surface, but the actual chassis dynamics with honestly not that much tire, only again a 245 section tire, is really, really awesome. So I am blown away. Maybe we should take it down the dirt road, slide it around the mud. Let's test the performance on the uphill. I'm gonna go hard throttle here and see if it overheats. Man, you can feel that diff working on that corner there. I mean, the speeds are huge.
Yeah, I feel the forces.
And here's one of our friends again.
So that's what I thought. I thought that was the Jeep that turned around.
Right, that was the Jeep.
Right.
But then this person's also
This
slow.
might be the mailman, though. 'Cause
No.
Isn't the mailman a Jeep here?
Oh, the Jeep? No, that wasn't a Jeep one, mailman. But you can actually still order a factory right-hand drive Jeep for customer use in America, which is funny.
But we're almost to the end right now.
No, we got a long ways to go. But there are passing zones right up here. So we're okay. We're not going to go crazy. I mean, I think we got the idea that this has significantly more thermal performance and power performance than a Mach-E GT. I mean, if you're even comparing these two cars for a performance car,
there's no comparison?
No comparison. You have to go. And here's Drew calling. Sorry, Drew, from Martian Wheels, who wants to test this weekend. So he's calling to probably figure out what time he can borrow this, and of course we're going to get it back with no tires.
Yeah.
So, in terms of its chassis setup, tire setup, suspension setup, good. Suspension's definitely like soft for hardcore driving. I would recommend maybe a coilover setup perhaps if you're going to do a hardcore build. But for daily driving and this compromise of back roads, it's totally fine. And it's actually probably more aggressive than it would realistically need to be. So here's where we can initiate a pass. We'll pass very gently so we don't annoy anyone. Look at that.
No eye contact needed.
That's a very gentle, out-of-spec pass.
That was very respectful.
Thank you. Yes, as we are. And once we round this bend, we'll just start easing onto the throttle, and we're wide open throttle. Oh my gosh. It absolutely covers distance.
She boogies.
Yeah, like unbelievably slow. I love that I can mat the throttle on corner exit and lean it on that front outside tire in corner entry. It feels good, and we're not going super hard because of road conditions. But just as an example, I was pinned through here in the Mach-E GT, and we were going half the speed.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Nice Bronco with the roof down. Love it. Looks good. He's just test driving it. Yeah. Look at that. Still all the performance you could want. No sign of overheat. Straight up into triple digits, kilometer digits.
Very impressive, because I feel like a lot of the cars that we've taken up here, they would have overheated by now, especially EVs.
We got to do a track day in this to really see its thermal performance.
Yeah.
This might be the performance EV buy. You know, I think it really comes down to Model 3 performance or this. Model 3 performance still feels a bit more hardcore, but not out of the box anymore. Because they took the performance suspension off, it's now on dual motor suspension.
Right.
It's not nearly as good as it used to be. So now we get to one of the best sections of the road, a steep climbing portion. This is where we need the power, of course, coming out of this corner. So we'll get it set and we'll go hard throttle on the exit. And man, does it not just absolutely deliver. Brake pedal feels good. We're going to have a little bit of a bump action here, so let's see how it handles it. We'll get the car set over the bumps. Really nicely done. Wow, this is serious. Brakes feel freaking awesome. This is a car you can go and have fun and actually like keep up with some serious cars. Why couldn't Ford just do this with the Mach-E? I don't know.
Ford is very whoa! Whoa! That felt good. What is the word? Conservative. Yeah,
yes,
they're very conservative. They like to oversell that they're just high performing, but it's just like little tweak.
Yeah, really loving the braking performance. Love that we can just stuff it into a corner. We have immediate power on the way out whenever we kind of want it. Man, they were not messing around when they built this car.
No, they put their engineers to it and they said go full force, which does not happen a lot within car companies. There's usually a lot of restrictions.
And you're just balancing it right on the edge. You can do such an easy job of just keeping it right at the grip angle. I mean, the brakes, we are really using the brakes on this drive.
Now here's the hill climb.
Here's the hill climb. We go super easy on the way in. Here's a lot of dust. Full drifts. And there's that front axle spinning up where the rear had traction, but just full sideways around that whole corner. It's a freaking rally car. Holy smokes. Let's do it again.
And that's not even in full drift mode.
Freaking awesome how fast this thing is. Man, I am just absolutely blown away. Oh my gosh, it is full sideways, full skids, exactly what you would want from an electric hot hatch.
100%. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. That is very impressive.
This is the car.
This is it.
It's actually even slightly more fun than a Model 3 performance, I think, because it feels a bit heavier. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I always enjoy driving heavy cars quite quickly and trying to work it around. So there's a little bit more to manage here. It's really my kind of car because in terms of like flat out cornering speeds and going for lap times, I still bet the Model 3 is faster because it weighs less and you can really build that to be hardcore. In terms of a fun on a back road, an oversteering character with that rear locking diff or ELSD, you're just like whoop, whoop. so good. So yeah, I mean, I think we should just continue a little bit and talk about maybe Model Y versus this, just giving it a cool down. Let's just take a look here really quick if you don't mind moving your hands away. What were you doing there? Holding onto the phone for dear life?
Yeah, I was. I was doing what I could.
I'm just pulling up Car Scanner. The battery pack's only at 35 degrees Celsius max. Now, granted, it wasn't that hard of a run, and we did take a few breaks to wait for cars.
Right.
But the thermal for performance, I mean, we'll just do a quick 0 to 60 right here just to see. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Brakes are feeling a little bit toasty. Just roast the tires. Still giving us all the power. We just left skid marks.
Yep. Skid marks and some smoke.
What is this car? And
This
why'd
is
they go so
shocking.
crazy? I'm absolutely thrilled. Let's just jump out quickly in front of the UPS truck. It just spins everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. Over the hump. It was just spinning tires over that hump.
Just likes to spin.
It really is. On a warm day, I really want to have this car up here.
Yeah, it'd be super sticky.
Yeah, actually drive it. We should do Model 3 against this. I can feel the brakes are getting slightly warm now. This is just really, really salty around this bend here.
Is it salt or gravel?
A little bit of everything. Sand, salt, gravel, schmutz. Just a wonderful handling vehicle. And they nailed it. This is the car.
Yeah, this is impressive in the back.
Let's try maximum power output mode. See what that does. If it feels any faster when we hit that. I know it's going to start actually trying to heat up the battery because we had it at 35 degrees C and it was still running heating. No extra power there. I think it's just, all that does is just a temperature control and tries to get max out of it. I mean, unbelievable.
It snakes as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're just kind of always in a little bit of slip angle wherever you go. It's my kind of car because it's loose and it lets you really slide around. And whatever they did on the front end of this car is awesome. Whatever they did to the back end of this car is awesome. The suspension when you drive it hard in GT mode is good. I actually found it really bouncy when you were trying to drift it, so maybe it's not great when you go past like 7/10. Right now I'd say we've been driving 5-6/10 on this road, nothing super crazy. Perhaps for track use, that's when you'll start to find some weaknesses, but for a back road blast, especially with a big uphill, I don't think you're going to be able to top this. Now, I haven't been driving an I-pedal. I've been keeping it in level 3 because I really wanted to feel that brake pedal regen blending. Perfect.
I mean, overall, it just feels meant to do this stuff. And finally, a car that they said, this is the purpose of it, this is what it's going to do, and it does it.
Yeah, and it gets bad range. Who cares? That's my opinion. Who cares about the range?
If you're ripping it like this, then I guess
yeah, what's been our
range
efficiency on this drive? It can't be good. 1 mile per kilowatt hour.
Nice. That's a Hunter EV right there.
Right, and we could probably do worse because we had to stop and wait and chill out and go slow behind some people. So, 0.8, 0.9 miles per kilowatt hour is probably realistic for back road blasting.
Mm-hmm.
Just great work. Should we try the little drift mode?
Yeah.
Since we're here. Full ABS on the way in here. Okay, so let's go park, traction control. This is where we did it with the GV60 too.
Yeah, but we couldn't get it to do anything.
Wait, maybe I already had traction control all the way off.
It's unlimited.
Traction control disabled, foot to the floor on the brakes, pull the paddles, drift mode, into drive. Will it actually drift? I don't know. Let's just see if anyone's down here really quick because I don't want to slide around with a bunch of cops waiting down at the end of the road, you know what I mean? So let's see. It's definitely keeping the front motor engaged and I'm not an I-pedal, so everyone who says it disables the front motor, totally wrong. But I can feel it's doing some weird stuff. Alright, in we go down here and...
Oh boy.
So yeah, drift mode. It just it does the thing.
That's the thing. These poor tires.
Oh my god, roast the tires to the moon!
God.
Holy smokes! That's freaking awesome.
Oh.
So it doesn't really have, you really got to get the speed up and get the car set and then kind of pull the slide.
Right.
If you're just like halfway in a corner and stab the throttle, which is kind of what I was doing there, was like traction, grip, and wasn't really great for that. So to get it out of drift mode, I guess I just hit the GT.
Yeah, I think you just put in a new mode.
Yeah, put it in GT. Now we're fully out. Okay, and let's launch it one last time. No derating.
No? And what percent are we at? Right?
67.
Okay.
Yeah, still feels good.
Yeah. You were having way too much fun.
I know, I don't want to end the video because it's freaking fast as all hell. Look at it freaking hammer through here. I mean, I had a Golf R on this road just recently. Not recently, maybe 6 months ago. And this is way faster, as you would expect.
Yeah. Oh, that hurt.
Sorry. So here's where I'm feeling slight derate, maybe not even. Placebo. The brake's still performing well. I'm being, you know, sort of intentionally hard on the braking system just to feel how it's handling it. Even lift off oversteer on the way in there, just had to manage that rear axle. Wow. This is like the perfect road for this car.
Yeah. It likes this. It likes little snakes.
I mean, we are bombing. And now there's just some homes. I don't like to speed around here.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
We'll see you on the next one. Hopefully
Bye-bye.
It's in this car. I love this car.
Yeah.
I got to have one of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.